Hi, I'm Jennet Ingle, the 5-Minute Reedmaker. If you're watching this on YouTube, would you go ahead and click subscribe for me and notify even maybe? This way you always know when I drop a new episode, and it makes it easier for other people to find my channel and to become better reedmakers and happier musicians. Thank you. Today I want to react to a question that I got in my email. It's from Barbara. It says, "Years ago, my teacher gave me a drawing of a reed with all the measurements. It shows that the reed is 7.0 millimeters wide at the heart and 6.5 millimeters wide at the tip. I often end up making my reed 6.5 in order to raise the pitch, but I never see you doing that, nor anyone else for that matter. Comment?" And in my immediate response to Barbara, I said, narrowing the top of the reed is something I might do if my reed is flat in the upper register and appears to be too flared. But I would never have thought to narrow the tip more than the heart. It seems to me that that would impact response. And indeed, I have never tried that, but I thought maybe I would today. So let's explore what happens when we narrow the top of the shape. Okay, so here's a reed. It's just a normal day 2 reed. I was about to sort it into a pile and, polish it up for sale. But it has quite a flair to it. And so I thought this might be a really interesting one to experiment with. And sometimes, this just happens with the shape. You put it on the shaper handle, you do it the exact way that you normally do, and then sometimes it just kind of comes out funny. And this is not one that I made, this is one that one of my winders wound for me. We are at about 70.5 millimeters overall, and I was like, this is not a measurement I ever do, but I observed that we are just a hair over 7.0 millimeters in the middle of the heart. And up at the tip, we're really more like 7.5, even maybe approaching 8 millimeters. So it's noticeably wider at the tip than it is down here. Here's what this reed gives me. It's beeping and crowing. Just a little bit flat, but it's fine. And here's what it sounds like on the oboe. So for me, this reed crows a B, but it actually feels kind of nice, cohesive. It's really not a problem. And if I really needed it to crow a C, like if, for example, I was about to send it out for sale, I would probably just clip a tiny bit and let it go. But here's my experiment today. Instead of clipping, or at least instead of clipping first, I'm going to try narrowing the shape a little bit and see what that does for the pitch. I'm not yet going to go to the extent that Barbara describes of making the tip narrower than the heart, but I do want to try straightening this flare just the tiniest bit. So I'm probably just going to do that thusly with my knife along the side of the reed, trying to catch just a little bit, and then pulling on up. And this is subtle, right? I'm not trying to do a lot, but I do want the sort of the chimney, this part, to feel more parallel than it does. What I see now is that my right side looks pretty good. My left side is still a little flary, so I'll do just the tiniest bit more. Whew, that was kind of a lot. And here's what I have now. This reed still crows a B. But if anything, it does seem to hold itself up a little bit more brightly up top. You can notice, looking at it, that in fact I went a little far over here. This is just me, this is not a maneuver I do all the time, so it's not the cleanest work I've done. And I am a little bit narrower up here than I am down here, but I wonder what happens if I do more. per Barbara's teacher's instructions. Let's see where I'm at now, by the way. I'm still right at about 7 in the middle of the tip, in the middle of the heart. And as I move up here, I'm still, honestly, just the tiniest bit above, and that's probably mostly because of the overlap here that we can see just a little tiny bit. So I'm going to see what happens if I go a little farther and narrow into the tip. This is terrifying. Wow. So I did that. I'm not going to touch this side because I already did it. For me, that pitch is actually going down, or seems to be. And it's still a B. It just feels like a slightly flabbier B. Wouldn't you have expected that it would make a bigger difference than that? I definitely wasn't expecting this reed to still be completely fine. What happens if I go more? What is too far? Ooh, that looks like too far. This looks awful. Who makes these reeds? Okay, here's my measurement now. 7 in the middle of the heart. 6.5 up at the tip of the tip. Boy, that looks like a lot. For me, this beep is beginning to feel a little bit less immediate. It's really not raising the crow as I thought it might. So look, I'm learning. I mean, I don't know. This experiment didn't give me the result I expected. This actually feels as good as the reed did before. It looks kind of awful. I don't think this is sellable, because look at it. But I'm quite startled at how little impact this effort has had. And you know, one of the things that makes me happy about that is that I very frequently work with people who have trouble like keeping the very edges of the tip keeping the very edges of the tip the thinnest part. You know, as they pet the kitty up here on the right or on the left, they lose some of that tip. And like this little experiment is actually suggesting to me that, you know, we knew already that that's not necessarily a fatal flaw, but it does feel very encouraging. Like, take a look as I do this. That's nuts. I think that the reason that it's still working so well is because I already had a really good clean slope. Like, it is obviously thicker in the center than it is at the corners and the sides. And all of this like damage that I did to the sides of the tip haven't actually impacted the slope. The edge of the reed is still the thinnest part. And if I had to guess, I'd say that's why it's still working so well. Or maybe that Barbara's teacher really, really knew something. And it never did raise the pitch of the crow. I mean, this really was just a quick and dirty experiment. And I would love to have people comment on this video. What did you see? Did you hear or notice anything that I didn't comment on or notice in the way this read seems to be playing? Have you heard the same thing that you want? Have you heard, similarly to Barbara, that the tip should be narrower than the heart? And if you try this experiment, what does it give you? This has been a 5-minute Reedmaker lesson. You can follow these short videos right here on YouTube. You can subscribe if you wish. I hope you will. And if you need to reach me to order reeds or cane, or a copy of my book, The Happiest Musician, or to reach out to me with a question that I could answer in a future 5-minute Reedmaker episode, you can find me at jennetingle.com. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.